Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. Hridayantastu Hyabadrani Vidunoti Sursatham. Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nestike. Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 21, Text 41 and 42. Asnati ananta kalu tattva kovide shraddhahutam yanmukha ijja namavi nave tata chetanaya bhaiskrite hutasani paramahamsya paryaghu. Synonyms. Ashnati, it's Anantaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Halu, nevertheless. Tattva Kovidei, persons in knowledge of the absolute truth. Shraddha, faith. Utham, offering fire sacrifices. Yat Mukhe, whose mouth. Ijja Namavi, by different names of demigods. Na, never. Why, certainly. Tatha, as much as. As much. Chetanaya, by living force. Bahi Krite, being bereft of. Huta Asane, Ashane, in the fire sacrifice. Paramahamsya, regarding devotees. Haryagu, never goes away. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ananta, eats through the fire sacrifices offered in the names of the different demigods, he does not take as much pleasure in eating through fire as he does in accepting offering through the mouths of learned sages and devotees. For then he does not leave the association of devotees. Purport. According to Vedic injunctions, a fire sacrifice is held in order to give food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the names of the different demigods. While performing a fire sacrifice, one pronounces the word Swaha in mantras such as Indraya Swaha and Adityaya Swaha. These mantras are uttered to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead through demigods such as Indra and Aditya. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead says, Naham tishtami vaikunte yoginam pradayeshua tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti madhubhaktaha. I am not in Vaikuntha, nor in the hearts of the yogis. I remain where my devotees engage in glorifying my activities. It is to be understood that Supreme Personality of Godhead does not leave the company of his devotees. Fire is certainly devoid of life, but devotees and the Brahmanas are the living representatives of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, to feed Brahmanas and Vaishnavas is to feed the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. It may be concluded that instead of offering fire sacrifices, one should offer the foodstuffs to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, for that process is more effective than fire yajna. The vivid example of this principle in action was given by Advaita Prabhu. When he performed the Shraddha ceremony for his father, he first of all called Haridas Thakur and offered him food. It is a practice that After finishing the Shraddha ceremony, one should offer the food to an elevated Brahmin. But Advaita Prabhu offered food first to Haridas Thakur, who had taken his birth in a Mohammedan family. Therefore, Haridas Thakur asked Advaita Prabhu why he was doing something which might jeopardize his position in Brahmana society. Advaita Prabhu replied that he was feeding millions of first class Brahmanas by offering the food to Haridas Thakur. He was prepared to talk with any learned Brahmana on this account and prove definitely that by offering food to a pure devotee like Haridas Thakur, he was equally as blessed as he would have been offering food to thousands of learned Brahmanas. When performing sacrifices, one offers oblations to the sacrificial fire. But when such oblations are offered to Vaishnavas, they are certainly more effective. Text 42. Yad Brahma Nityam Virajam Sanatanam Shraddha Tapo Mangala Mauna Sayame Samadhina Viprati Harta Drishtaye Yatredamadarshaiva Pasate. Synonyms: Yat, that which; Brahma, the Brahminical culture; Nityam, eternally; Virajam, without contamination; Sanatanam, without beginning; Shraddha, faith; Thapa, austerity; Mangala, auspicious; Mauna, silence; Sayame, controlling the mind and senses; Samadhina, with full concentration; Bibrathi, eliminates Ha, as he did it; Artha, the real purpose of the Vedas; Drishtaye, for the purpose of finding out; Yatra, wherein; Idam, all this; Adarshe, in a mirror; Eva, like; Abhasate, manifest. Translation: in Brahminical culture, a Brahmana's transcendental position is eternally maintained because the injunctions of the Vedas are accepted with faith, austerity, scriptural conclusions, full sense and mind control, and meditation. In this way, the real goal of life is illuminated, just as one's face is fully reflected in a clear mirror. Purport: since it is described in the previous verse that feeding a living Brahmana is more effective than offering oblations in a fire sacrifice, in this verse it is clearly described what Brahminism is and who Brahmana is. In the age of Kali, taking advantage of the fact that by feeding a Brahmana one obtains a more effective result than performing sacrifices, a class of men with no Brahminical qualifications claim the eating privilege known as Brahmana Bhojana simply on the basis of their birth in Brahmana families. In order to distinguish this class of men from real Brahmanas, Maharaja Prithu is giving an exact description of a Brahmana and Brahminical culture. One should not take advantage of his position simply to live like a fire without light. A Brahmana must be fully conversant with the Vedic conclusions, which is described in Bhagavad Gita, Vedishcha Sarve Ahameva Vedya. With the Vedic conclusion, the ultimate in understanding or Vedanta understanding is knowledge of Krishna. Actually, that is a fact because Simply by understanding Krishna as he is, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vitti tattvataha, one becomes a perfect Brahmana. A Brahmana who knows Krishna perfectly well is always in a transcendental position. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mamcha ya avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samati tethan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service and who does not fall down in any circumstance at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus come to the level of Brahman. Therefore, a devotee of the Lord Krishna is actually a perfect Brahman. His situation is transcendental, for he is free from the four defects of conditional life, which are tendency to commit mistakes, to be illusioned, to cheat, and to possess imperfect senses. A perfect Vaishnava or a Krishna conscious person is always in this transcendental position because he speaks according to Krishna and his representatives. Because Vaishnavas speak exactly according to the tune of Krishna, whatever they say is free from these four defects. For example, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that everyone should always think of him, everyone should become his devotee, offer him obeisances, and worship him, and ultimately everyone should surrender unto him. These devotional activities are transcendental and free from mistakes, illusion, cheating, and imperfection. Therefore, anyone who is a sincere devotee of Lord Krishna and who preaches this cult, speaking only on the basis of Krishna's instructions, is understood to be Virajam or free from the defects of material contamination. A genuine Brahmana or a Vaishnava therefore depends eternally on the conclusions of the Vedas or Vedic versions presented by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Only from Vedic knowledge can we understand the actual position of Absolute Truth, who, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, is manifested in three features, namely impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and at last the Supreme Personality of God. This knowledge is perfect from time immemorial, and the Brahminical or Vaishnava culture depends on this principle eternally. One should therefore study Vedas with faith, not only for one's personal knowledge, but for the sake of spreading this knowledge and these activities through real faith in the words of Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Vedas. The word Mangala, auspicious, in this verse is very significant. Srila Sridhar Swami quotes that to do what is good and to reject what is not good is called Mangal or auspicious. To do what is good means accept everything favorable to the discharge of devotional service, and to reject what is not good means to reject everything not favorable for discharging devotional service. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we accept this principle by rejecting the four prohibited items, namely illicit sex, life, intoxication, gambling, flesh eating, and accepting daily chanting of at least 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and daily meditation three times a day by chanting the Gayatri Mantra. In this way, one can keep his Brahminical culture and spiritual strength intact by following these principles of devotional service strictly, chanting 24 hours a day, the Maha Mantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. One makes positive progress in spiritual life and ultimately becomes completely fit to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Because the ultimate goal of studying or understanding Vedic knowledge is to find Krishna. One who follows the Vedic principles as described above can, from the very beginning, see all the features of Lord Krishna, the absolute truth, very distinctly, as one can see one's own face completely reflected in a clear mirror. The conclusion is, therefore, that a Brahmana does not become a Brahmana simply because he is a living entity or is born in a Brahmana family. He must possess all the qualities mentioned in the Shastras and practice the Brahminical principle in his life. Thus, he ultimately becomes fully Krishna conscious person and can understand what Krishna is, how a devotee continuously sees Krishna face to face within his heart is described in Brahma Samhita 538 as follows. Premanjanaschurita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. The devotee, by development of pure love for Krishna, constantly sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Shama Sundara, within his heart. That is a perfectional stage of Brahminical culture. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarani Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. I humbly seek the blessings of all assembled Vaishnavas. Please forgive me any misinterpretation. So Prithu Maharaj is giving instructions to the assembly of the Brahmana, sages, and demigods. Continuing on that instruction, Prithu Maharaj says in the text 41, although Supreme Personality of Godhead Ananta eats through the fire, sacrifices offered in the names of different demigods, it does not take as much pleasure in eating through the fire as it does accepting offering through the mouths of learned sages and devotees. For then he does not leave the association of devotees. So it is considered the fire of the sacrificial fire as the mouth of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these Brahmanas chanting the mantras and they offer to the palatable items to the fire of sacrifice. Lord tastes these offering through the fire. And if that offering also served to the sages and Vaishnavas, then Lord also tastes this offering through the mouths of the sages and the devotees. But here in this verse it is said, Lord takes more pleasure tasting this offering through the mouths of the sages and the Vaishnavas. So Lord is situated in everyone's heart. And in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashrita Pranapana Samahita Pachamyanam Chaturvidam. That Lord is situated as Vaishwanara, the fire of digestion in the body of all living entities. And through this fire of digestion, Lord helps to digest four kinds of foodstuffs. The four kinds of foodstuffs are that which is chewed like a chapati, that which is drunk like milk, that which is sucked like sugar cane, and that which is licked like honey. So these four kinds of food we digest, but Lord helps to digest through the fire of digestion. So in the uh, Bhagavad Gita also says that all this fire sacrifice, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. He is the supreme master, supreme benefactor, and the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifice. Aham sarva, aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhu revacha. Natumam abhiyanati tattvenatas chavantiti. So Aham, Krishna says, I am the sarva yajnanam bhokta. I am the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices. And the Prabhu, I am the master or the supreme benefactor of all the sacrifices. One who does not know these, he falls down. So, in this regard, there is a pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. Krishna, Balaram, and the coward boys, they were in the forest of the Vrindavan. They were resting. These coward boys said that we have not eaten our breakfast and we are very hungry. And Krishna, you have killed many big demons and you can do miraculous things. Can you please make some arrangements for food stuff? We can tolerate this hunger. So Krishna, out of compassion, said, there's nearby, there are some Brahmanas, they're performing the fire sacrifice. They prepared very nice food stuff. You go there and request those Brahmanas. So the coward boys went to that place where the Brahmanas were performing fire sacrifice and they paid their obeisances. And the Brahmanas were busy offering, chanting the mantras and offering to the fire sacrifice. And these coward boys requested that Krishna and Balaram are in the resting nearby forest, and we are all hungry. Could you please give us some food stuff? The Brahmanas heard, but they did not pay any attention to their request, and they continued and ignored their request and continued chanting the mantras and offering to the fire of sacrifice. Disappointed by this, the coward boys returned and reported everything to Krishna. Krishna said, don't be disappointed. Go back again and request the wives of the Brahmanas. So the coward boys went again, and the wives of the Brahmanas were sitting in a row in the house. So they went and requested, Krishna and Balaram are in nearby forest. We are all hungry. Please give us some food stuff. As soon as they heard Krishna and Balaram in nearby forest, they were very much excited to see Krishna. Overjoyed, they filled all the pots with the nice food stuff and immediately left with the coward boys. Their husband, their father, sons, and brothers, they tried, persuaded not to go in the middle of the fire sacrifice, but did not care. So they went to the place where Krishna and Balaram were there, and they were devotees. These wives of the Brahmanas are devotees. They were always been um, thinking about Krishna, always had cherished the desire to see Krishna. So in this way, Krishna fulfilled their desire. Krishna was very much pleased that you broke all social obligations, uh, disregarded your husband, father, and son's request. In this way, Krishna manifested in their heart beautiful Shyam Sundar. So all sacrifices are meant to please Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Yajnanam Japa Yajnasmi. Among all the yajnas, I am the Japa Yajna. Japa Yajna means chanting the holy name of the Lord. It is also a sacrifice. In fact, Japa Yajna is the supreme because it's most purifying than other yajnas. I'll stop here. Thank you for giving